After 10 minutes of Piers Morgan and his guests talking about how crazy it is that there are people literally castrating themselves in the name of gender identity, this LGBT man decided to defend people changing their genders by saying this.
Everything that's been said here so far, I could write an essay about it. I have so much to say, and it's difficult to just respond to literally all of the insane things that have been coming out of your mouths over the last 10 minutes.
Notice how he explains that defending children and not allowing them to make life-changing alterations to their bodies is considered insane. Pay attention to how Piers Morgan calls him out on this.
Minutes, to be honest.
What was insane
it would
about
take
anything Riley said?
I do find behind closed doors
what was
quite
insane
offensive.
about anything Riley said? This is what Riley
Listen,
gains.
can I just reply to Esther first?
You
because
can.
I don't want to
Everything
disrespect
Riley ever says, people like you go, it's insane. And when I say, what is it she said that's insane?
It's a great question.
You want to move on?
No, I think what she said about how she doesn't agree with it, but whilst also saying,
I
don't. Well, that's not really supportive,
she doesn't have to agree with you.
It's not supportive.
Notice how he tries to play victim here by tilting his head and treating this conversation as too obvious for him to even mention.
Why does everyone need to support
They
something
don't.
that
They don't. But let me just try and make one single point, if I can.
It's not compulsory
please
to
make a
support
point.
anybody.
It's not that these concerns that Riley raises aren't important or that women's safety isn't important. All of that is important. And what happened to Riley, it's an important story that we should listen to. Everyone should. And the left shouldn't be attacking you for that. That literally shouldn't happen. No one should be attacking anyone. We should listen with empathy.
Yes.
But realize how they always try to deflect and play mental gymnastics around the topics.
I think the issue occurs when we look at abuse rates in America for women, right? It's 1 in 3 women that are abused by men in America. You haven't commented on that. You haven't commented on abortion. You haven't commented on so many things. Trump discussing that it's okay to grab a woman's pussy. You don't make comments on those issues. And
yeah, mention something that was said years ago as a joke. Sure.
Those issues are affecting more women than a trans woman in a changing room.
Who? I mean, honestly, who was affected by Trump saying that? Was anyone? No, because it was a joke.
Because there aren't that many. There's only 700,000 trans women in America.
So because
they
Riley...
can't all be abusing women. That would be insane. They're busy.
All right, I'll let Riley answer that herself.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why for this, though. The truth of the matter is that, thank you. The truth of the matter is that there's always this conversation about the woke group, the far left group that's pushing an agenda. But we got to be real about the people like her who's pushing a far right agenda that often.
Yeah, sure. Saying that children shouldn't mutilate themselves and make life-changing decisions is far right. What's next? Tell kids to stay in school is extremism. Come on, man.
Times it's fixated on coming after people of color, coming after queer people, and also pushing an agenda that
Ernest, when did Riley Gaines be far right?
You don't even know what woke means.
Hold on.
You don't even know what woke means, right?
That's fine. Can I just ask you a question?
And that's fine.
Hold on, Ernest.
Right?
Can I ask you a question?
Did you guys see that? The LGBTQSYC guy on the right really thought he did something with that head tilt.
Clarify, because I'm none the wiser. Define far right. What's the definition of far right?
Far right are people that are pushing homophobic, transphobic views, misprescribing, misdefining terms such as woke. None of you all seem to really know what woke means, but you like to use it.
I wrote a book about it.
That's not a
so if you're going to use woke,
I literally wrote a book
people you disagree with.
I'm going to call you all far right
people
conservatives.
Just pay attention to how Riley is going to absolutely put this guy in his place here.
See, hang on.
No, it's the same thing with left. Anybody you don't agree with, you call woke. So if you're gonna call anyone you don't agree with woke or extreme or lefty,
yeah, literally, I don't even know what that word means.
I'm gonna call you all that.
It's the past tense.
You saying that I'm a far-right homophobe. My response to that is saying that men can identify as women. And lesbians who don't want to date these men who identify as women. That is homophobic. You are using lesbians as your political pawn, and that's sick. Lesbians don't want this
Riley, you've just come out with that from nowhere.
So why are you calling a political pawn?
That wasn't part of this discussion.
Notice how they're trying to double team Riley now that she called them out and exposed how they're trying to change the topic by using woke and far right.
Where's that come from?
Because he called me a homophobe, and I'm sitting here saying I'm fighting for the sex-based rights of lesbians,
we get
women.
emotional about this.
Oh, really? You think
And we're right to.
Get emotional about a lot of things.
discussing our rights.
How do you conflate? How do you conflate?
Hang on,
please
don't talk over each other.
Hang on,
hang on.
fighting for
Ernest,
women's rights.
hang on. Don't talk over each other because otherwise we can't hear what's going on.
Yes.
You see, James, it's interesting because you show zero support for Riley's
That's
campaign.
not actually what happened.
Morgan didn't even finish his sentence, and this guy is just so ready to disagree with him. He didn't even finish his sentence yet. You cannot make this up.
Showed some support.
I'm talking about her campaign. You want to campaign about everything, but she's actually chosen the one that has directly impacted her
No, my
life.
question is,
hang
why
on.
aren't you
I haven't asked you the
concerned about
question.
that too? Well, let's ask Riley if she is concerned about
She
it.
hasn't been hit by a man, James.
No, I'm going to come to that, but she's not here to talk about abuse of women. She's talking about the infringement on women's rights to fairness and equality in women's sport, which she herself has personally suffered from, right? Now, you have shown zero support for
That's
any
not
women
true.
like Riley Gaines.
That's not true. I just said it's an important
literally
story.
said
that
in
we,
sport-
I literally said it's an important story that we need to listen.
Again, with this back and forth between changing their words and lying. At this point, I don't even know what to say or believe from these guys. Ridiculous.
Last week, you
That's
said...
what I said.
Last week...
Piers, I literally just said 2 minutes ago, it's an important story.
If I may remind you, I know a week is a long time in James Barr's memory lapse, but
It was over a week because she's been on holiday.
Last week, I had 3 days off. Last week, you said that the Olympics should be gender neutral.
Well, I still think it would solve a lot of problems.
Just imagine a 6'2" genetic man wrestling against a 5'10" genetic woman. How does that solve any problems? It's literally not fair to the woman.
It would solve zero problems.
It would solve so
and that
many
shows,
problems.
And my point... And
I'm not a sports
Let me bring
commentator.
Riley-
I don't know sport.
Obviously, you know nothing about sports. Just look at a mirror.
But I'm
Come
telling you,
on,
I think we should
James.
listen to Riley's story. But my issue is not the story or the concern. My issue is that it's the only concern. And then when we drill it down,
It's literally
and we
her
say,
campaign.
well, what do you think about abortion rights in America? What do you think about what Trump says? You don't want to comment on
What
it.
do you
Well,
think
well,
about the
well,
Uyghur
maybe-
Muslims in China?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. Maybe that's
I
her
don't-
truth.
What have you tweeted about the Uyghur Muslims? You haven't.
tweeted about that.
So you're a
I
bloody
don't know
hypocrite.
about
So
it.
be
I'm not a
quiet.
hypocrite, but I'm saying
Not
so
everyone
that's
has to do every
why
camp.
I'm
This is
trying
not-
to explain why the
Sorry
left
here.
get
All
upset.
right, fine.
It's
Let me-
because we're looking
let me
at it and
bring
we're going,
Riley-
the only thing you're bringing up is trans.
Let me bring in Riley. Let's try and get some
That's
order
fine.
here. This is
But
exactly
here's
my...
the issue. The
Ernest,
hypocrisy
wait a
is-
moment, please.
the hypocrisy
Wait
is-
a moment, Ernest.
Yeah.
Riley, here's my point. We've just seen right there the hypocrisy.
It's not
Right there.
Again, with the head tilt. This body language is a clear indication of defeat. This man knows that he has no argument, but he just doesn't want to admit it.
Right?
I'm
Is
trying
that-
to explain.
When I say to James Barr, why don't you talk about Uyghur Muslims oppression? Why
Why
should
don't
I?
you talk about Uyghur Muslims?
Why should I? I do.
Right.
Why should I? He doesn't. But he wants you to talk about all
No,
these
I
other
don't.
issues.
I am trying to explain why we get upset. It's because we look at it and we go, why is J.K. Rowling only concerned about this one thing?
She's not only
really
concerned about
women?
that. She
And
tweets
why-
about a lot of stuff. Let me bring in Riley. You'd be very
I
patient
think it's
listening to this.
entirely
Riley.
disingenuous to say that this is the only issue that I care about. I spend majority of my time advocating for this issue, but that's not to say that I don't speak on other issues. A big campaign of mine and what I am advocating for now is women in prisons. Women who are most of the time victims of domestic assault, domestic abuse, to which your point, I will say any form of sexual violence, any form of domestic violence that women face is entirely wrong and should be denounced, and those who commit it should be criminalized. But a large push right now is for fighting for these women in prisons, incarcerated women. They still deserve sex-based protections and their rights too.
But it always comes back to this
regardless of
one
the-
issue, which only affects, which affects less women than the major issue.
So if something affects less women or less people, does that make it less important?
Does that make it? Does that
No,
make
it
it
doesn't
valid?
make it wrong,
But that
and
was
it's
the point I
okay
was
that
making
that's one of
earlier.
your
Let me bring in-
issues,
let me
but
bring
I'm
in-
explaining
all
why
right.
we get upset.
Right.
Don't talk over each other. Ernest.
Oh, I'm sure this guy has something productive to say.
Right. Yes. The point I'm making is that that's exactly the point I was trying to make earlier, is that while she cares about other issues that are very important, and I agree with her on several of those issues, she's being platformed only when it comes to particular issues that are divisive, that are transphobic, that
Nope, never mind. Nothing productive.
do not
They're
show
not
the full nuance
transphobic,
of her
Ernest.
explored interest.
It's not
And so that's what it
transphobic
is.
to think
The issue
6'4"
is that we're having a
biological
conversation.
males
Why is
should
this
not be
conversation
competing
being
against
conflated
women.
with Pride Month? Why is this being conflated with Pride Month, Piers? Why?
It's not been
Why is she here
conflated.
talking about, why is she in the conversation around Pride Month?
She wasn't. She was in a conversation about
Why?
her book, which then led to a conversation about Pride
No,
Month.
but she's talking, but she's also
Because
in a
Pride Month
conversation about
affects
Pride Month.
every
Why is there a
single person.
conflation there?
Pride Month
Okay, I'ma say it. I think he's triggered.
affects
Because it goes aligned with your far right agenda.
Why
That's why you're bothered.
She's not far right.
That's the issue that we're talking about this panel.
I think he's talking about
Ernest, let me ask you. Ernest, why do we have to have... I want to ask Ernest a question. Why do we have to have a month of Pride?
Go ahead.
Why?
Because the reason why is because it's people like you who don't understand why we really have it. It's not really about sexuality.
It's just because we want to have it. Well, in that case, I want golden pants and ice cream every Thursday. These two clowns absolutely have no idea what they're talking about and need to learn before they go on any program and spew their ideologies. Ugh. Well, that's all from me today. I'll leave the link to the full video in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.